Hey there, welcome to the Alexa Z Show, because life should be fun and meditation should be easy. What is a silent retreat, and why would you actually want to put yourself through that? I get this question a lot, so I thought it was a good time to answer it right now while I'm in the moment. I really am in the moment because I've just completed a personal Noble Silence retreat. Noble Silence means silence of the body, speech, and mind. I consider it a personal, private retreat because I put it together myself, my rules, no one else's. This type of time can not only be enjoyable, but you can also come out the other side feeling like you have had a relaxing 2-week vacation. I want to shed some light on not only what it's like, but how you could put one together for yourself. Maybe an hour, maybe a day, a half day, maybe for you, or maybe for you and a friend. I actually outlined this episode just after I checked out of the retreat center. I was outside in a covered gazebo in the pouring rain, and it was really a great way to sit and write and sketch this out. So I hope you enjoy it. Insert some rain sounds and the smell of fall, and let's get going. A show for those who want to meditate or maybe tried, loved it one day, hated it the next, or maybe forgot why the heck they're supposed to do it anyway. Well, you landed on the right show. Do you still find yourself wishing you had more time, waking up tired, wanting to take back what you just said to your boss? Seriously, don't you just want to spend a peaceful, productive day with time left to learn the guitar and start that $1 million side hustle? Follow me at alexazmeditates.com/podcast and let's make it happen. Hey there, Alexa Z here. While I do my best not to be judgmental, truth be told, I often want to smack a person when they find out that I'm off for a bit of silence and they respond by outwardly laughing. If you know me, or perhaps just know me through this podcast, you may think, wow, this type A woman never seems to shut up. It must be impossible for her to be silent. Well, if you really knew me, you'd also know I describe myself as an introvert hiding in an extrovert's body. Time alone, time in silence, and time in reflection is more than something I crave. It is something that I must have if I'm going to continue working hard, maintaining my health, and monitoring my lifelong relationship with anxiety, and hopefully really trying to help mankind any way I can along the way. I need this time. My coach, who I've worked with for a gazillion years, it seems, very often she'll say to me, "Isn't it time maybe you had a little quiet time?" And she's always right. If you think you want some of what I had, keep listening. And in the end, I'm going to make sure you too can design maybe an hour, maybe a little bit more of some silence for yourself. So this week, I was actually supposed to be on a structured 10-day Noble Silence retreat. I had been looking forward to it for a long time. It's very hard to say, I'm off for 10 days. See you in 10 days. Can't get hold of me. Bye-bye. But I canceled it because my mother-in-law had been ill. It had been pretty apparent to me by that time, like a week before that it was planned, that spending time with her was way more important than going off for 10 days, which I was really fearful of doing with her being ill. So unfortunately, the time was cut short. Instead of spending time with her in a few days, she did pass away. And in a few days from now, we'll be having the funeral and coming together to celebrate her life. So once we had arranged all the funeral stuff, I headed off to a place because at that point, I really needed a day. And I said to my husband, I got to just go take 8 hours or so. So I headed off to a place called Bon Secours that was supposed to be just for 8 hours of silence. But I decided to spend the night. And as of when I was writing this, I was at hour 24, and I can't wait to return really soon. So Bon Secours is a retreat and a conference center in Maryland. It is a ministry of the Sisters of Bon Secours. Now, please note, this is a secular podcast, and so are my teachings. But anyone can go to Bon Secours. It is open to the public. But on a side note, isn't it lovely to know that their mission, founded in 1822 in Paris, France, one of my favorite places, was to care for those who are sick and dying? And how can that be not a lovely, healing environment? Now, again, I always ask people to be non-judgmental when they listen, so I don't want anybody getting wiggy about religion or starting to decide what my retreat was like for me. So let me set it straight. Yes, I was raised Catholic. But this show is not about religion. This specific episode is about a space. And this space just happens to be at Bon Secours, but this space was created for all people, any people, to come and stay in peace. No one can say that that's not sacred. The silence is respected. No one feels weird. You walk down the hall, others walk by you in silence, maybe with a downward gaze or a nod. All strangeness, and I know you're thinking right now, that's got to be so weird. It flies out the window. As soon as you get used to it, and it doesn't take long, you end up feeling like your lungs have grown to epic proportions and you can take a giant breath. So as I'm recording this, it's after when I left and I wrote my notes and whatnot, and you can probably hear in my voice, I feel like I'm back in that moment again. So let me give you a rundown of my 24 hours, but don't get overwhelmed. I'm going to make it really quick. I'm not going to take me 24 hours. And remember, this is my version of joy. After, we can entertain some ways that you might find joy in some of these activities or moments of silence in your own little retreat. So I planned to arrive at noontime, and I was going to get settled in my room, do a meditation, and then join a 1 o'clock 60-minute silent contemplative hour that I just found out as I was on my way there. They do every Tuesday. I was like, oh, lucky me, it's Tuesday. Let's do it. And after that, I was going to sit in silence and practice a conscious eating meditation over my salad, a conscious eating exercise. And there's this yummy salad that I thought, this is going to be great. I picked it up on the way there. It's my favorite salad from this little coffee shop. It's got lots of colored veggies and spinach and artichokes and red roasted peppers and pickled veggies, chickpeas. It's a sight to see, and the textures are awesome. I had actually done a contemplative eating exercise with it before, and I'm like, I want to do it again. So just before the contemplative hour starts, contemplative hour, think the Catholic version of meditation. Just put that in your mind. So I remembered last second that I left my salad in the car, and I figured I better get out there and take it out and put it in the fridge. I ran out to my car only to find out the salad was not there. I left it on the counter when I left the cafe. I had made some tea because it's about a 45-minute drive, and they had this kind of cool, seemingly overpriced rose petal steaming tea. I put a little honey in it. I was so excited. I put the lid on the drink and proceeded to leave with my lunch sitting on their little countertop, and nobody noticed. Bummer, nobody noticed. You would think somebody would have run out and given it to me, and if they were like, gee, where is she? Like, my huge van with my name on it is right there, but oh well, it didn't happen. So this alone was proof that I needed to slow down. And please note, dinner when I got there was not served until 6. So already my retreat was not going as planned. And I really hate being hungry. But it's all good. Off to my contemplation and trying not to contemplate my hunger. So here's the thing. Meditation and mindfulness are about a life of stillness and activity. Stillness and activity, meditation and mindfulness. We are human beings and we are meant to be active. We don't need to sit under a rock for the rest of our life. However, that's hard, right? We sit in stillness, we look inside, we're looking for inner quiet, and suddenly, bam, our body gets uncomfortable, we have to itch, our mind starts to wander. We know this is a constant tug of war. It's all a tug of war. And what a retreat can do is kind of structure silence with meditative movement over and over to balance our internal and external world, calming the mind, the body, and our energy. That's, to me, super not stressful, not weird. That is normal and fun. It can feel really, really normal because you're getting back to your inner self. So here, I'm going to give you a few quotes. I like to mingle them together to add a sense of what I feel this retreat was about, or maybe just some food for thought. Okay, ready? Meditation is a journey without movement. In the external world, you have to move in order to go ahead. In meditation, you don't move, yet you attain. That is from Ramaswamy. Now, that's a seated meditation, so just think. Silence, no movement, but you're attaining something. Next, the external world is a canvas where you paint the colors of your soul. Michael Beckwith. I always say life is a palette, but sometimes our colors seem a little drab, or we can't find our paint. A retreat is a lovely time to go back into our soul and find the colors. Next one. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. I tell you, those Stoics, they had it going on. They knew about meditation way before most of us did. Oh, love those guys. Last one. Ooh, this is a tough one. I love this. If both the past and the external world exist only in the mind, and if the mind itself is controllable, what then? Good old George Orwell. I was hoping those quotes kind of gave you a feeling of like, yeah, stillness, a needed silence, a time when you really need to rest. I've had clients that said, oh my God, how can you go on retreat? Like, I have to exercise. This is exercise. It's a different type of exercise and training. So for me, this retreat it's about spending time with myself and my soul, or whatever you want to call it. But the comfort really is in my knowing that as I enter it, I'm not looking for any answers. I'm just being there. So let me take you on a path of what my day-to-day retreat looked like. I'm not going to get deep into anything, but just so you get an idea of what I'm talking about of the tug of war of the body and mind. So I got settled, did a little bit of quiet time, started basically with a contemplative hour. Then I did my mindful eating, which you now know I had no lunch. Thankfully, I had stopped for some snacks, and my snack was a banana and a trail mix that I didn't realize had a bunch of chocolate in it. Actually, a lot of chocolate, but it was dark chocolate and it was really yummy. So I did my eating meditation with my nuts and my chocolate and my banana. And I learned it was wonderful. I was not hungry. I've never looked at a banana that way in my life. I've never done an eating exercise with a banana. I thought I'd done it with all the fruits, but amazing. Those little strings, they didn't gross me out anymore. The whole banana, the texture, the smell. We'll do another show on contemplative eating. Then I went for a walk. It was a beautiful day, and the retreat center is in the midst of all this land. And they're kind of picture like a big field. You probably would see pictures of this. A big field with like a cutout, and you're kind of walking through where somebody kind of sheared, or whatever you call it, mowed down the grass. So I walked for an hour. It was a long walk. It was slow. It was deliberate. It was silent. It wasn't me trying to pump my heart rate up. So then I walked. Next, I did a 30-minute meditation. Then I went outside and I did a labyrinth walk. And this labyrinth is circular. So a labyrinth usually is a patterned path. It's often circular, and this one was. And I used it for my walking meditation. So labyrinths are arranged so that you walk in such a way that you kind of move back and forth in a circular form. It's like a series of curves, and then you end in the heart or the center of the labyrinth, and then I gently walk my way out. So I did that for 30 minutes, and of course I have to enter in some funny things. There was one other person walking in the labyrinth, and if you've ever been in a labyrinth, you start on one side, and as you're walking, you're just looking in front of you. So you're really not like looking up like, whoa, how do I get through this maze? And when am I going to get out? Is there a prize at the end? No, you're just kind of gazing downwards and walking. And sometimes the other person in the labyrinth starts to get really close to you. So it is kind of a real practice to say, we're not going to run into each other. It's fine. And we're both in our kind of silence together. It's super cool. Then I had to write this down so I didn't miss anything. Then I went back inside and I did a 45-minute body scan. Now, some of these meditations are silent, and sometimes you can do them guided. I can get into that in the checklist I'm going to give you at the end, but this is just what I did. So I did a 45-minute body scan, laying down extremely comfortable, beautifully comfortable. Love body scans. And then I did a 20-minute gentle stretching. I'm not even going to call it yoga. Very unstructured, gentle stretching. Then off to dinner. And the dinner was whatever they served that night. And everybody is silent in the dining room, which you're like, whoa, that must be weird. It's not, because everyone's there doing their same thing. You're not staring at anybody. You're just, again, eating contemplatively. Yeah, that's all. Oh gosh, I could tell you some funny things, and then it also happens that there is a chapel because it is a Catholic institution. So I spent about 15 minutes of quiet in the chapel, did some more stretching. Now I'm going to kind of speed it up. A little bit more walking within the labyrinth, and then I was readying myself for bed. Now I'm not adding this all up. This all came to be about 8 hours until it was time to go to bed. Now, when you think about it, you think like, wow, that's a lot of resting, gentle movement. How are you ever going to be able to sleep? Well, it's funny. It makes you really tired. And by 8 o'clock, you're like, I can't wait to go to bed. And then you might think, I've had so much rest and quiet. How am I going to fall asleep and stay asleep? Well, let me tell you. You sleep like a baby. At least I did. Now, again, this is not guaranteed for anybody, but this is what my day was like. I slept like a baby. And the interesting thing is, you'd think you would wake up in the middle of the night, thoughts, whatever. Nope. Those brainwaves, like I talked about back on the sleep episode, I must have been cruising my way through because I slept amazing. I had an enormous amount of deep sleep in that. I always look at my sleep. My sleep was very deep that night. It was amazing. And then when I woke up, used the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and immediately sat down for a 45-minute meditation. And you also may be thinking, after all of that sleep, all that time the day before, the 8 hours the day before, it must be really hard. You're kind of ready to get going again. Just the opposite. That 45-minute meditation felt like 5 minutes. My mind was blissfully, the sleep waves were good. My mind was still in that dreamy state. It was absolutely lovely. I followed that up with 30 minutes of gentle yoga. Again, I had breakfast in silence, went for another labyrinth walk, so on and so forth, and that was basically wrapping up my day. Now, there's always some funny things, because we all are human beings. And I will not lie, in my last contemplative meal, there was this adorable woman, and I noticed her. Not that I was staring at people, but I was going to scrape my plate off, and she had on this little knit hat. It was super cute. It was like, think of like all the colors of a beach ball, and it had little knit balls around the edge of it, and it had a giant price tag hanging off it. Not like a little price tag. It was a giant, like a triangular matchbook size. And it was really hard not to start laughing and not to start making a story in my mind that maybe she was going to return it afterward, or she was trying it out, or that the fact that it was a much bigger price tag that maybe Minnie Pearl had. Those of you who remember Minnie Pearl. Anyway, it was super funny. So, end of my retreat. That is the end of my retreat. What does that sound like to you? Does it sound yummy? If it doesn't sound yummy, that's okay. Maybe the only thing you get out of this podcast is the next time someone says they're going off on a retreat, don't make fun of them. Because some people's idea of a retreat is an enormous amount of activity. I'm going to go do, like, how many retreats are out there? Yoga and surfing and yoga and hiking and all this. And sign me up for all of those. But this is a noble silence. It is noble to yourself. So perhaps you'd like to try to bring this into your life. I'm starting these podcasts kind of as we're getting towards the holidays, because you're thinking, I so need more time in my life. I so need some quiet, and I am not going to get it until this year is complete. And you know that probably is what's going to happen, right? Well, it's only going to happen if you make it happen. What if you tried an hour? What if you tried 2 hours? What if you just literally scheduled it into your day? What is the worst thing that can happen? You waste an hour? Come on, how many hours do you waste? Let's not even get into, let's not schedule out everything you do all day long and try to find an hour. I guarantee, call me, we'll find you an hour. And maybe you can just take that hour. Maybe you wake up before the rest of the household. Maybe you tell the household, go away and give me an hour, and put yourself in a beautiful room and just don't leave the room. You could do some yoga or some gentle stretching, a meditation. You could bring your breakfast in and eat it mindfully. You could add a body scan like I discussed, or stretching, or rest. You need rest within it too, because you get really tired doing nothing. You could add a yoga nidra recording. You can add recordings. It's okay. You have it so planned out that... And I'm going to give you a checklist. You can go. I'll give you a checklist at the end that you can go, because, I don't want you scanning on your phone trying to find stuff and getting lost. There's a way to map it out. and agree this is what I'm going to do. And if you listen to the last podcast about yoga nidra, you'll know what deep, lovely restorative rest it can bring you. So you can add that. You could add mindless wandering, journaling. I don't usually like to say you want reading or books or television or any of that kind of stuff, but some stream of consciousness writing. Maybe you end it all with a big old bubble bath. There's so many things you can do. If you'd like a list of ideas, go to alexazmeditates.com/retreat, and I will give you a checklist of some ideas and some ways to set it up. alexazmeditates.com/retreat. I will also put a link to Bon Secours to pay them homage because they're just awesome people, and I'll include a couple pictures for you as well. Thank you for joining me. I feel like I just lived through my retreat again. I feel great. I hope you feel great. And I hope this holiday season you give yourself the best gift of all, and maybe a gift to others, a gift of a little bit of noble silence to just rejuvenate your mind, your body, your soul, your energy. Signing off, signing out. Have a great week. And I will see you next week. Peace out, taters.